BBOR Black Box Online Radio, coming to you from West Virginia. Right now, we're going to talk about one of the topics that I would say is probably up there in the top three most fascinating things that I can think about discussing, and that is conspiracy theory science and just the mechanics of how conspiracy theories function. Now, I can see what you guys like listening to, and I know this isn't the most popular thing out there, but I mean, as I said, this is just a personal passion subject of mine, something that I love discussing with you here on this channel. And one of the books out there that we've never done a specific upload for is Among the Truthers by Jonathan Kay. And if you don't have access to a book immediately, I find one of the ways to go about it is to find the interviews and especially the presentations from book tours or just even pulling up speeches. And a lot of these guys who put out conspiracy theory skeptic books do lectures and presentations all about the material. So recently I've been going through some of the things from Jonathan Kay. He has some great material here on YouTube. Not to mention, I'm just more of an audio person when it comes to pulling in knowledge and information. I've always been more audio centered as opposed to text centered. So, when it comes to the book Among the Truthers and just talking about how conspiracy theories function, I first found out about Jonathan Kay when he was debating Webster Tarpley about 9/11 truth, and that was a debate that actually took place on C-SPAN. I want to say that that one was put out in 2011, but I'm not sure. It's been a while since I saw it. I saw it in 2017. I forget the exact year on that one. But Jonathan Kay was actually called out by somebody in the audience, and the biggest takeaway that I had from that debate was the person told him, the guy that he's debating, Webster Tarpley, who was pro 9/11 truth, he wrote the book 9/11 Synthetic Terror Made in USA. They're saying this guy has facts, he has statistics, he has data, he has information. All you're doing is saying there's nothing there. That's what he said to Jonathan Kay, who wrote the book Among the Truthers. That's what he said to a skeptic. All you're doing is saying there's nothing there. And that was my biggest thing that I took from that debate. And I've always been approaching theories and watching how the kind of skeptic crowds react to them. And like, you really see this all the time. So many people are just so dismissive of things. And we really have to go beyond the level of just saying there's nothing there. Let's actually find out where is the truth, and not being 100% dismissive of everything. But you see, though, if you get into Jonathan Kay's material, he doesn't reject all conspiracy theories. I mean, there are many say that actually turned out to be true. Iran-Contra involving Ronald Reagan, Watergate involving Nixon, and especially George W. Bush with weapons of mass destruction, and we can talk about all of those in a second. But when we want to say about the mechanics of how conspiracy theories function, we mentioned Jesse Walker on this channel, and we've done an upload about him in the United States of Paranoia. That's the title of his book. And what Jesse Walker argued is that human beings are pattern-seeking individuals, and anyone who is not in a brain-dead coma is going to be living like this. And we look at the world and we try to make sense of it by forming patterns in our thought processes. So this has nothing to do with education, intelligence, IQ, political affiliation. Everybody is going to do it. They're going to look at a series of events and they're going to try and make connections in between them. All people do that, and conspiracy theories are just another extension of that. Jonathan Kay, in the book Among the Truthers, expands that by saying people have political ideologies, and then there is reality. Like, there are real things that happened about 9/11. Yes or no? Was Dick Cheney sitting in a bunker under the White House masterminding the fall of the Twin Towers and the Pentagon strike? Did that actually happen? Yes or no? Or, for example, did SEAL Team 6 actually take out Osama bin Laden? Did that actually happen? Yes or no? There are definitive answers. Was Barack Obama born in Kenya? Yes or no? I mean, there are definitive answers, but we don't always have all the information. But people do have political ideologies about it. And a political ideology, so as argued by Kay, is that it is so much more than just, hey, what do you think about the healthcare bill? What do you think about gun control? A political ideology is the way that people understand reality. So, what many people do is they use conspiracy theories as a way to understand reality and give merit to their own political ideology. So that's a big thing that I've noticed him saying in most of his material. But one of the things, though, that I had not heard was that I had not heard before in any of the other conspiracy theory books is one of the reasons why people are into conspiracy theories, and that came from the concept of tyranny in America. Jonathan Kay is Canadian, and he's coming at this from an outsider perspective, and he says an observation that he has made is that America was founded upon the revolution, right? Taxation without representation is tyranny. Patrick Henry, right? And there's always been this concept of patriotism needing to rebel against the outside tyrannical force. And he proposes that that is a very big influence on conspiracy theories, and that's one of the reasons why there are so many conspiracy theories in America. And he argues that there are fewer in Canada, but I'm like, well, Canada has like 1/10 of the population of America or something like that. Of course, there are going to be fewer conspiracy theories and fewer conspiracy theorists coming from Canada and talking about anything to do with world politics than there would be in America. But I do think that this is just well, maybe it's a very insightful statement that one of the reasons why conspiracy theories take place in America is just, I just never heard it broken down like that. America fought the revolution, and you had those who were passionate patriots resisting the outside tyrannical force, and that has become a major influence. One of the things that he does cite that I have heard in most of the other conspiracy theory skeptic pieces of literature is that it's the good versus evil narrative. It's a Judeo-Christian influence on the concept of we are on the side of good and anything that is opposed to our agenda is the side of evil, and that's how some of these conspiracy theories form. A lot of people say that in a variety of ways. We've the book Win Bigly, Persuasion in a World Where Facts Don't Matter says very clearly that the three most valuable words in persuasion are we the people. So what many people do is they label their group as the group on the side of goodness, and anything to the contrary is the side of evil. But the thing is, though, we don't necessarily know what even that evil could be. The New World Order, the Bilderberg Group, the globalists, the tyrants and the social engineers, or even the oligarchs. But I would say, though, one thing that we have talked about on this channel very frequently is to give some pushback against Jonathan Kay and among the truthers, is that oligarchy is a real thing. And I don't know why that he has such a big problem accepting that. There are small groups that have more power than larger groups. I mean, this is the whole nature of the political establishment. There can be small groups of people that can have a large concentration of power, more so than other groups. I mean, that's a very simple thing. Oligarchy is real. And after going through a lot of the things around the New World Order, and as we mentioned, the Bilderberg Group and the globalists, okay, not everything that the conspiracy theorists are pushing is 100% certifiable, but I will tell you the concept of oligarchy is somewhat real. And we've mentioned things about the New World Order and the Illuminati on this channel, and that there can be lessons that we can learn in those things. Like, if you're going to talk about a New World Order, it is the concept by which oligarchy can propagate. And if you're going to talk about the Illuminati, they are those who allow this concept to propagate. They are the people who are involved in the circles of oligarchy and their influence on worldly events. Those things can take place as well. I mean, if you want to talk about anything that is very genuine, there are a lot of theories out there about the Illuminati. It's not just the people controlling the music industry and controlling consumer choices and smoke-filled cigar rooms with people masterminding world events. There are many theories about what the Illuminati is and what the Illuminati could be. We even did like multiple discussions last year on the book The True History of Religion by the Real Illuminati. I would say, though, that some of the points that Jonathan Kay really wants to explore in this are just the concept that conspiracy theorists will never change their mind. And he said, though, when he was researching the book, Among the Truthers, one of the things he did was conduct many interviews with people, and that they did not change their mind. He was never able to persuade anyone, and it's a very big thing to get people to do. If you're going to say all these things about political ideology, how it's the foundation of someone's entire worldview and someone's entire connection to reality, well, no, people aren't going to sacrifice that easily, nor would he. But I think a more interesting point is looking at how the conspiracy theory functions. And one of the things that he mentions in the book Among the Truthers, as well in his presentations that are all here online, is that many conspiracy theories function in the exact same way. To explain, it's like you can substitute any word in many of the conspiracy theories and it just vilifies a different person, and it just vilifies the New World Order. Okay, take out the New World Order and put in the Illuminati, and you could have the same thing. And if you look at something like the Protocols of the Elders of Zion, which was written after the turn of the 20th century, William Cooper even addressed this in Behold a Pale Horse. If I recall correctly, he said, when you read that, take out the word about, Zionists and Jews, take out those words and read it in a different way. I believe that's what he advised in his book. So when it comes to something like that, what we should really be aware of is it's like Jesse Walker 101, that it's people are creating patterns, and this is a very specific type of thought pattern that exists in a lot of underground literature, things that are not receiving mainstream support. But if you notice with conspiracy theorists that they often trash talk the mainstream media, they say that the mainstream media has no credibility, but when something comes up that supports their agenda, then they use the mainstream media, and it's like, well, wait a second, I thought you said everything in the MSM was state controlled, that it was full of lies, that it was horrible coverage, and that they never get to the heart of the issue and they're spreading disinfo. But then when something's beneficial to their agenda, then they cite them as a source. So, I mean, I complain about the MSM a lot, and I also cite many articles and many things and documentaries from various MSM sources. So I think it's just one of those things that we can't avoid. But I also don't promote conspiracy theories that people are trying to destroy the government. And a final thing that I would say that Jonathan Kay mentioned that I think is somewhat more valuable is that when true conspiracy theories happen, like things about Iran-Contra and Watergate, those things were about money, and and like he said money and sex, but I definitely think it's more about power, especially if you're going to include something like Nixon and Watergate. That would definitely be tied to the concept of just manipulating the system for power. I'm sure he meant to say money, sex, and power, because those things are often tied together when it comes to criminal activity. Power is extremely influential. So it's very good to note that conspiracy theories can be true. It's just what point that Jonathan Kay presents is that the conspiracy theories that are about people trying to take over the world, or that there is this boogeyman in the dark that controls world events, those things have a lower likelihood of being true for the sole fact of probability. Once you begin to link many different conspiracy theories together into a super conspiracy, as described by Michael Barkin in A Culture of Conspiracy, that's his book, there's a lower probability of it being true. But when you want to talk about two or more people plotting and planning, usually for a malicious purpose, to increase their own power or to increase their own wealth, or people like Jeffrey Epstein who are tied to sex trafficking scandals, those conspiracy theories are true. I just wouldn't downplay the concept of things like oligarchy do exist, and we definitely see that as well from things like Bohemian Grove, what we were talking about earlier this week on the channel. That stuff is very real. How do we know that it's real? Because we have an enormous amount of sources coming from a variety of different directions that are talking about it's tied to things such as sex trafficking as well, because there are many prostitutes that are used at Bohemian Grove, and a variety of sources confirm that. Well, what do you think about conspiracy theories? Is there any theory out there that you think could be true? That's all for me now, and if you like this upload, you can hit the like button, and if you have anything to say at all about conspiracy theories, please drop a comment below, and what do you think about any of the claims we've made in this upload? Until next time.